All right, good morning. Welcome back here to Trader Minute. Great to have you aboard. Market off to a pretty slow start. Pretty sluggish out there for most things. A few exceptions. We're seeing a pretty steep sell with energy. But, a lot of the stocks that had those downside reversals yesterday aren't getting much follow through to them. We talked about that yesterday. And, we're seeing just some pretty low volume. Just kind of, fairly flat action out there in the market today where, not a lot of stocks are changing their stripes. And I understand. It's very popular to be bearish right now. The headlines, the analyst, Morgan Stanley comes out today talking about, how this market's going to drop. It's very popular to be bearish right now. And I understand that fear is out there, and that's not going to go away. It simply is not going to go away, and we're going to have chops and pops and drops and all of that. Those will continue here in this market, and as I've talked about before, I suspect we will continue to see a lot of differentiation this summer, where we can have a down day in the market, and there's a good 15 to 20% of the stocks that have some nice upside. We can have an up day in the market. And we can still have some stocks that drop pretty nicely here, and so my only caution or my only advice there: forget about the market for a minute. Forget about the market for a minute. Watch your individual stocks, trade your individual setups, look for the market in case there's something major that happens. But right now, nothing major is happening. It's the same stories, new skin, right? Yes, I know. Yesterday, U.S. President Trump, threatened tariffs on the European Union. Okay, it's the same story, different stripes, that we've had, right? And we're not seeing a huge market reaction to it. We're not seeing big money flows to it. So it's not something to be game changing. Yes, is it going to affect individual names, individual stocks? Could it turn into something more? It absolutely could. But overall, get your eye off the market a little bit. Summertime is not a time where watching and looking for every move on the market is really going to help in terms of trading individual stocks. Keep your eye on the individual stocks, trade them as you see them, and it'll be a lot calmer. It'll be a lot less dramatic and a lot more profitable there. For you. All right. So that's just, my 2 cents there when it comes to the market and, to what we're seeing out there market-wise. Okay. All right. Let's go to the challenge. A whole lot of nothing here for the challenge this morning. American Airlines has zero change on it. Bank of America down 5 cents. Now down 7. It finally moved. And Disney is up 12 cents. That's a whole lot of nothing in terms of movement there. So let's go take a look, update the option prices. Disney is $5.15. So we'll come in here $5.15 and mark that. Let's see here. I made a mistake yesterday, and I updated the wrong sheet. So I will have it all fixed here shortly after this video. And let's go back here, though, to the one I updated yesterday. Since it has Disney on it, and we'll update it. Okay, there we go. There's Disney. So $5.15, right? $5.15. We have Bank of America. Let's see where that option is here. Bank of America. The option is $2.14. And then we have American Airlines, which is, let's take a look. $2.10. All right, $2.10. So there we are, with how things sit. Now, American Airlines today is 7:02 a.m. American Airlines has come into its auto exit time stop. Now, this is the auto exit date if it's red. Right now, the option is green. The stock price has gone up about 70 cents since we've been in it. The option's only up 180 bucks. It just has not, it just has not moved in a way that really has paid us off. We had a little bit of implied volatility drop. With the weekend, here. So it's kind of just been a real sluggish, kind of just non-event. I was a little bit disappointed this morning because we see Delta, Delta flying high. It's been moving. It's been shaking. We look at the airline index, the XAL. It's had a nice little bump. And yes, American Airlines has gone up. The stock's gone up 70 cents since we got in. But just isn't getting any real good action here from the options, and so it's one where we have a small gain. From a logistics standpoint, I can hold that and continue to run with that. But since we already have two other trades on the board, I'm going to go take American Airlines off to free up some cash for, potentially the next trade. And it's just simply, we could hold it and run with it. But it's just really, really kind of sluggish right here. Not really doing a whole lot. So I'm going to move on here from American Airlines. So let's come in here and create that closing order, and 211 to 213 is the option. I'm just going to put in a market order here, and 212 is the exit price there on American Airlines. So I'm out of American Airlines at 212 here. Just making sure the alert goes out. And 212. All right. So out of American, let's come in. We'll mark this thing closed. Trade close day here, 7:02 a.m. Closed. Now, I'm going to put a note in here. I'm just going to insert a little comment here. Was closed even though option was slightly green. Had two trades on the board and no cash. So I'm just going to add that there. And there we are. So, American Airlines, nothing really for the challenge on that one. Kind of a non-event. Disappointing. The thing had some good potential. Probably still does, but anyway, out there. And Disney, Bank of America, neither of them close to their time stops. Neither of them close to their stock exit levels. So continuing to run here with both of those. All right. No new triggers here this morning. We are devoid of triggers here this morning, which a few things getting close. A few things getting there, especially on the downside in oil, in some of the energy names that are out there, the Halliburtons of the world specifically. In fact, let me show you Halliburton here. Here's Halliburton. Almost has a downside 3-7 crossover on it today, but it's not there yet. Things like Schlumberger, which are on the watch list. Trying but not there. Some things getting close-ish, but again, close doesn't count when it comes to the challenge. Now, this morning I was kind of looking at some of the stuff going on out there, what I wanted to kind of talk about on video, take a look at here on video. And as I looked at the market, there really wasn't a whole lot that I could say that I haven't said already. This is one where let's face it, most stocks just aren't changing their stripes. Maybe Verizon a little bit this morning, but Verizon was one of those where yesterday we got this big downside. Oh, is it going to trigger bearish? Nope. Snaps right on back. Is it triggering bullish? Not yet. It could, but it's not there yet. In fact, it's getting pretty close to a 3-7 crossover. It's only a penny away, but we'll see by the close here today if it does materialize into a bullish signal, and if it does, I will definitely go out and run with it. But instead of going out taking a look at some of the stuff going on in the market, there just really isn't a whole lot. I took a lot of the questions that have come in over the last 2 weeks and decided I'd address those here this morning, since most of them have to do with the challenge and how the challenge is executed. Now, most of these things I've talked about before. There are 2 of them I haven't, but we'll shed some light there with those. But let's go take a look at it. One came in yesterday about Disney. Really good question. And, I said, Jeff, you use the Bollinger Bands. I've seen you use them a lot over the last several years. When it comes to Disney, the Bollinger Bands are actually contracting and showing that we're moving into consolidation, yet you bought a trade suggesting trend with the algorithm. And you're spot on. You're absolutely spot on. Yes, the Bollingers are contracting, right? And I bought a trade looking for trend. When going and developing the algorithm, one of the first places I started was with the Bollinger Bands, and saying, okay, can I trade this concept of trend? Can I use the Bollingers to really find trend? And yeah, I was able to. I was able to use them to say, okay, you know what, chances are pretty good of trend, but I could not find something where universally applied, where applied, to all, the different stocks in the watch list, where I could get something consistent. And what tended to happen is the Bollinger Bands would be contracted, and, they would come in something like this on Disney. And we get the breakout, the bands start to expand, right? Nice signal, and chances are pretty good it's going up. But then this is what would happen. It would go up for a couple days. It really wouldn't move that 2 average true range, right? It wouldn't move that much. And then it would just kind of pitter out. And so to make money on the options actually was pretty difficult, because you're buying it on the breakout. The option pricing is a little bit more expensive, and you're not getting the average to 2 average true range. It just didn't work. It didn't work consistently enough for me to say, okay, you know what, let's use the Bollinger Bands with the algorithm. And I had to scrap them pretty early, pretty quickly. And a couple things you'll notice when you look at the entries for this challenge. Disney, right here. What were the Bollinger Bands doing? Right? At that time, what were the bands doing? They were flat and going nowhere. Right? You'll notice this is a common theme when it comes to challenge entries. Here's Under Armour. Right? We entered for the challenge. Where was it? Right here? Right here. What were the bands doing at that time? They were far apart and flat, right? That's not the sign of a trend. That's generally a sign that it's going to move into some consolidation when it comes to the Bollinger Bands. We can go to almost every one of the trades for the challenge, and we're going to see a similar picture. Here's gold. We entered gold right here. What were the Bollingers at that time? Bollingers were flat, sideways. They weren't expanding like what we have seen since. They were flat and sideways. What about Bank of America? Right? We entered Bank of America right here. What were the bands right there? They were wide and contracting. no matter what stock we go to, right, that we've traded for this challenge, it's going to be a similar picture. Here's, let's go to Visa here. Let's see if I can get this set up right. Maybe not. There we go. All right, so here's Visa. And let's put the Bollingers on. And we entered Visa when? We entered Visa right here. What were the bands doing? They were flat, right? They were flat and kind of far apart for Visa. That's a common theme when you look down the trades for the challenge, and you look down, across the board. That's kind of where it is, and it's not because the challenge takes Bollingers into consideration, right? It absolutely does not. It has nothing to do with them. But what it does take into consideration is whether the stock has been trending or consolidating. And when Bank of America made its signal, what had been happening to the stock for the last 3 weeks? Yeah, it had a couple pops and drops and drops and pops, but it had been consolidating for about 3 weeks. It was coming from a period of consolidation. And so the probability of trend actually increases after a certain period of time. And with different stocks, it's a little bit different of a time period. Some stocks, it only needs a week and a half. Some other stocks, it needs 2 to 3 months. In the way the algorithm works is it takes that individual stock and models that individual stock. It doesn't apply a blanket methodology to all stocks there. It looks at kind of how that stock is done over the last several years and, basically says, okay, we've been consolidating long enough to where after this type of consolidation, we tend to see trend start to emerge. Boom, here's the trend signal. Boom, let's go. Right? Here's Disney, right? And Disney had been consolidating for what? For almost 3 weeks, right? Been consolidating for almost 3 weeks. And what do we know about Disney? Well, after about 3-week consolidations, it tends to get some sort of move. Now, some last a little longer, some last a little shorter, but the tendency is pretty good there. The Bollingers are not taken into consideration, but the concept of trend and consolidation absolutely are. And the problem with the Bollingers in applying them to the challenge is the fact that they tend to be late. They tend to be, from an option pricing and an option movement standpoint, late. Now, that does change when we get to a certain type of stock. When we get to small cap stocks, that changes. And in fact, with small cap stocks, waiting for those pierces of the Bollinger Bands tends to pay off very nicely. So here's Glue Mobile. Pierces the upper band. Boom. Very nice move. Well over 2 average true ranges. Boom. Big downside move to the bottom. Well over 2 average true ranges to the downside. Right? When those bands get pierced, we get that type of movement with small cap names. It's a lot more consistent with the small caps and even the mid caps. But once we get into large caps, it loses a lot of that ability to move to average true ranges. You think about the challenge and applying options to the challenge. Can I go out and trade Glue over and over and over? No, I can't. The option values, the option spreads just don't make that possible to do with an audience, right? To do with other people following along, with other people trading along. It just makes it very difficult. And so I had to move away from that, had to go and find, something else. And I think we found it. The testing has all showed that it works. The pre-testing and the stuff we've done over the last several years, the data on it has shown it works, and it's so far paying off for this challenge. Again, this is just one challenge, but so far paying off there. But very good observation there with the Bollingers, and I see where you're coming from. But that's kind of why the Bollingers are not included, and why something like a Disney yesterday, I'm willing to go ahead and get in, even though the Bollingers are consolidating or we're starting to tighten up here with it. Okay. All right. Reentries. Reentries. Let's go to Bank of America. One thing to keep in mind, when I go out and make a trade for the challenge, I trade it live. I trade it with real money. In fact, here is the gain and loss on the day and everything else, right? I trade it in a Thinkorswim account. I don't get any discount on commissions. It's live. It's 100%. And it's traded exactly the way the challenge alerts are sent out. I do not have a second account where I go in and make the challenge trades as well. I don't go into a second account and buy and sell around the challenge trades. I don't go out like yesterday morning and see Bank of America near the highs and pull off some Bank of America, and then when it pulls back, add some more. I don't play that game. I won't play that game. Why? Well, because when I look at the algorithm and I look at the performance of the algorithm, I don't have to. Plus, I don't know that I can outperform the algorithm trading around it. Sure, in hindsight, yeah, of course. I could trade around it and be just fine. But that leaves me in a position. I'm not willing to go out and to pull off some and add some more and to, make those types of changes around challenge trades. But I know that there are very skilled traders in the community, and some of you will do that. And don't let me stop you. Go for it. I'm not here to extol the virtues of just trading the challenge exactly. Trade what you're comfortable with. Run how you're comfortable. That's what you need to sleep at night. So go for it. But I'm not the person to come to say, hey, Jeff, you pulled off some Bank of America yesterday. Should I buy some more now? What about putting some more of the position back on? I'm not going to do it. I'm not even looking at it that way. I'm not trading around it personally. I'm not going to trade it around it personally. And I'm not going to be doing that for the challenge. I will execute it as the challenge dictates. So with Bank of America, pulled off some. Fine, it pulled back a little bit. Doesn't mean I'm going to add more, right? I don't have a fresh signal to add more, right? Doesn't mean I'm going to get, super jumpy on it or anything else. I know where my stop is, right? Here's Bank of America. Stock exit levels, $28.96. Bank of America right now is trading at $29.27. So, it's about, 30 cents away. If it drops 30 cents into the close from right here, I'll be looking to pull it off at the close. It's that simple. And I will continue to keep the challenge that simple. And not just from the way it's executed from a visual standpoint from me to, the community, but also me personally. I don't really watch these trades all that closely. I'm not sitting there staring at minute charts on them all day. I'm not sitting there and going, well, it just moved 5 cents. What should I do? Man, should I do that? Should I adjust here or do that? No. The way the challenge algorithm is built, I don't have to do any of that. Didn't do any of that on any of the prior trades. Not going to do any of that on the future trades. And so feel free to do that. But I don't have a magic indicator that says, well, it's now pulled back. I really like it right here, so buy some more. No, Bank of America could pull back another 30 cents. I know what I will do when that happens, if that happens. Bank of America could rally another $2. I know what I will do if and when that happens, and it's all right here on the challenge spreadsheet, right? And you have access to it. You can see that. That's what I will do. Right. Outside of that, I'm not trading around it personally. I'm not trading around it, here for the challenge as well. So I'm really, while I'd love to be able to say, well, yeah, it's pulled back a little, jump on in here. It's not something that is any more of a coin flip, in terms of my opinion, right? My opinion just simply, doesn't matter in that case. Okay. All right. Another question, Jeff. I missed out on the first part of the challenge. You're trading at a different dollar level. Can I start with 3,000 with where you are right now? That's a really good question, and it's a question that I've not addressed very much here with the challenge. But it also is something where the challenge was designed so that if you're not in when it starts on day one, you can come in on day 60, you can come in on day 90, you can come in on day 5, you can come in on day 30. You can come in at any time and trade the signals that come on board, and you can start with 3,000. It's all set right here how it goes. Yeah, I'm putting a different dollar amount in trades now. So Disney, had a little bit of a different dollar amount than it had before, or than what we put into Procter and Gamble for the first trade. But you can go out and you can say, all right, I'm just going to start with 3,000. And you can replicate this same process. Just tone down the allocation, make the allocation a little more in line with the dollar amounts you have, because the allocation is not based on dollar amount, it's based on percentage, right? And so this is something where if you want to start a challenge with 5,000 instead of 3,000, easy enough. You just have to allocate the right percentage. If you want to start a challenge with 2,000 instead of 3,000, easy enough. Allocate the right percentage. Now, it's not going to make sense to do with 300 or 1,000 because the commissions will get you. But you want to go out and start with 10,000? Fine. You know what? Just allocate it with the percentages, that I'm allocating. The signals in these trades are not different because of different dollar amounts, right? And that's a big difference from me running the challenge and the algorithm running the challenge. Now, me running the challenge, I can say that nothing changes when the dollar amounts change, but I don't know that I can prove that. I don't know that when I go back and actually look at challenge trades, the challenge that went to 49 grand, a challenge that went up to 20 grand, and then backed all the way down to 10. I cannot look at those results and those trades and honestly say, look, the dollar amount did not affect the decisions. I can't do it. Because it did. But when it comes to the challenge in this format, dollar amounts don't affect the decisions. Decision process is the same for Bank of America as it was for GLD, even though the dollar amounts were strongly different. Right? With GLD, we put $1,400 into the trade. With Bank of America, we put double that. The same decisions were made, the same process, the same entry, the same option choice, the same exit dynamic, all of that the same, right? And so as the challenge ebbs and flows, and as it moves up and moves on down, and and just has its normal kind of flows, please just keep in mind that you can trade it with whatever dollar amount you're comfortable with. And so you can come in at any time. You don't have to say, well, I'm going to go put $4,000 on Disney like Jeff did. No, you can put what you're comfortable with and trade that percentages out. Now, when the challenge hits $100,000 and you started, let's say the challenge is right now it's at 10,000, and you come in starting with 3,000, you're not going to hit $100,000 when the challenge hits $100,000. Right? You're going to be a couple doubles behind. You're not just $7,000 behind. You're several doubles behind. You're about 40% behind when it comes to the challenge. So you have to keep that in mind. But yes, you can absolutely come in, and trade the challenge with the dollar amounts that you're comfortable with, without really having to worry about that there. Okay. So anyway, that's my 2 cents there on that. Okay. Now the last thing that I get to are the sheets, the Google Sheets here. The Google Sheets are updated twice a day. They're updated when I'm on video in the morning, They're updated when I'm on video in the afternoon. Disney, the price of the option right now is different than $5.15, right? In fact, if we come into the option here on Disney, the option is now $5.87, right? Good. That's fantastic. But I'm not sitting here updating the price, right? It's not going to update automatically. Bank of America, the option value has probably gone down since I've been on video. In fact, Bank of America, the option value is $2.02, right? So it's gone down 12 cents. I'm not sitting here updating those and making changes and all of that. I'm updating them when I'm on video in the morning and updating them on video in the afternoon, and that's it. The current stock price, that does update, but it is a 20-minute delay. It's Google Finance, and I've just kind of put that in for simplicity standpoint. But it's updated twice a day. The recordings are all uploaded here. Every day they're uploaded. Yesterday's did not get uploaded into this sheet, but it did get uploaded into sheet 5, and so I will adjust that here and fix that here today. But it is updated twice a day, and that's what it will continue to be. The signals, updated twice a day here as well. Now, the spreadsheet link will continue to change about every week and a half. Okay, and that's just for for security purposes, and that's so that we can make sure that only the members really have access to it. I have not put the capital into basically applying this sheet dynamic into the website to where you can just go into the website and it brings all of this up, embedded in the site, and you can click around it through the site. It is still all an external link. Someday will I put the capital to have that developed and put together? Sure. Maybe, but it's pretty capital intensive, and it's something where it's just incredibly easy to do with the sheet and still incredibly easy to update. It also gives community members a chance to kind of download their own. You can't update and edit it and things like that, but you can have copies for yourself without too much drama there. And so we'll continue to run with this format, and we'll continue to have it updated, updated twice a day. Morning when I'm on video, afternoon when I'm on video, and so you may not see the the perfect updates, meaning they may be a little bit off. In fact, right now Disney and Disney, Bank of America, they're not. Those aren't the prices, right? Those aren't the prices here for them. And I'm not going to go and update them here until this afternoon because let's face it, there are no trade decisions right now being made based off of that exit price, right? The trade decisions are based on the stock price. Trade decisions are based on the time element here with it. Now, one thing that I will continue to do is after 30 days, I put together a quick summary. And this is something that's being developed right now. You say, well, Jeff, you're not putting capital to develop, the spreadsheet going into the website. Well, I am putting capital in play to automate a lot of the statistics and data for the challenge. Because the challenge, now is much more of a data algorithm, data-driven type of a thing. There's a lot more that we could do. And, from a data standpoint and a statistics standpoint. And so we are looking to do that. And it'll be similar things to what this kind of 30-day summary was. And I'll be doing a 60-day summary, a 90-day summary. Here when it comes down to the challenge, but you kind of just see what some of the run rates are. Unfortunately, this challenge we're running below some of the run rates, some of the expected run rates when it comes to stocks hitting price targets. Disney can change that a little bit if it decides to get on its, to get off its duff and move nicely. But we're running below some run rates of hitting the first average true range, but we're also running below the run rate of hitting the price stop level. Right? We've only had one stock hit the price stop level, and that was CSX. So, we're not hitting the upsides as much, but we're not hitting the downsides as much either. And that's, when I look at it, that's a product of summertime and, just some of the greater chop and less trend type of environment that summertime typically is overall. Okay. So hopefully that helps answer some of the questions, that maybe have been on your mind. These are things that other people have had on their mind and have written in about, and so hopefully that helps there. If there are any others, please let me know. Always happy to help and to address those. And I understand it's a different process than many of you in the community are used to. Let's face it, most of you that are here have been here for quite a long time, and we absolutely appreciate that. And everything is being done to make sure that the challenge has an element of consistency and profitability going forward without taking away the big upside, and without taking away some of the downside there as well. And the challenge will continue to run in this format. It'll evolve a little bit. There'll be a few tweaks here and there. I already know one tweak I will make on the next challenge, and we'll see a few of those. But the statistics, the data, the run rates of it, those should remain constant over time, over a long period of time, and lend some consistency and profitability, to the challenge that isn't human dependent, that isn't dependent on Jeff's opinion, that isn't dependent on community opinion. And yeah, we can go talk about those things going on in the market, and hey, this is happening and that's happening, and okay, great, fine. They are what they are. But you'll notice trade war stuff for this weekend didn't affect any trades in terms of entry, exit. Yesterday in the big top-down reversal didn't affect anything, entry, exit. Of course, it caused me to cuss American Airlines a little bit as that thing was ready to run and reversed on us. But it's not something where decisions are being made based on, the noise that is out there in the market. And let's face it, the noise, it's always constant. The noise is always loud. The opinions are always bellowing. And, that's not going to change. That will be consistent in the market. So will the challenge. Thanks for hopping on. Have yourselves a fantastic day. I will talk to you this afternoon. Take care.